got a much less sad one coming up next, though.
Yeah, we've got
Um,
Love Letters
well,
and Digital Ink.
Anna, you want
Is
to
this
read
one?
Rose?
Oh,
It's
it's
Rose,
roast time.
Rose and Kanaya time.
Yes, definitely.
All right, and I'll read Kanaya.
Yeah.
I assume you're always Kanaya.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
I
in
figured.
my contract.
Hold
Yep.
on. It's Love Letters and Digital Ink, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we're on chapter 3.
Wasn't this the one that had the Fall Out Boy references in the first chapter?
No, that's a different one. That was a one shot.
Ah.
And one line of narration, which I don't know. Who wants to read the one line of narration?
I'll do it.
Nice.
There's narration. I didn't see it.
The very beginning, the pester log.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Alright, this is Love Letters and Digital Ink, chapter 3. Grim Auxiliatrix messaged Tentacle Therapist at 3:21 p.m.
Your post about desert roses was interesting. Unfortunately, I believe that you may have confused some of the terminology. It asked, although selenite and desert rose are both types of gypsum, selenite is not actually itself a desert rose. I'm sorry if this message comes across as patronizing or righteous. I merely thought that it might interest you.
No, I'm glad someone told me. God knows somewhere around the line a geologist might have commented on the post, and I'd have made a fool of myself. I'll edit the post. As a matter of curiosity, how did you come across that information yourself? Are rare crystals and stones a subject of study for you?
No, at least, I would not consider myself an expert to half the extent that you are. I only know about selenite from an old friend of mine who involves herself regularly in mining expeditions and will periodically send me links to things she finds interesting. An article on desert roses happened to be one of them. Her URL is at Apocalypse Arisen, and if you are interested in talking to her. Although not spiritually inclined, she is quite pleasant to talk to and seems to know a good deal about the materials involved in spiritual rituals. That try to drop her a line, so to speak.
Noted, and added to my to-do list. Thanks for the advice. Man, I might have made a rube of myself, mightn't I? That teaches me to skim the Wikipedia page instead of reading thoroughly. But you can't tell anyone my secret mind. Most believe me to be fabulously well researched.
Your secret is safe with me. By the way, sorry to ramble on, but seeing as this may be the only chance I have to contact you personally with assurance of visibility, I would like to tell you that I love your blog. Your advice is insightful and brilliant, and I have executed many a successful ritual at your behest, and your answer section never fails to provide good advice. And your personal news is fascinatingly told, despite often recording only the mundane. And reading your blog has often pulled me from some very low places. Places from which even my close friends were incapable of bringing me despite their assured care and efforts. And I would like to say that you inspired me to make my own blog, albeit one of significantly less quality and renown than yours. Sorry, I am rambling. Please say something to shut me up.
Not a chance. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. In all seriousness, I am both flattered and undeserving of the earnesty in your praise. I'm just running a little one-woman show over here, nothing special. Just a girl with a blog and a fascination with dark forces. An ordinary story, really. And hopefully you're in a better place now than you were, although if you're not, I understand. Recovery can be hard, can't it? Retrospectively, that sounded overly patronizing. That's not what I meant. I mean that I was in a low place, as you put it, too, and it was my interest in the occult that brought me out of it. Running a blog has the added benefit of raking in a fair share of kind anonymous messages which never fail to brighten my day. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is that I understand your perspective, and it's not creepy at all. It's actually very similar to what I went through, unless I'm misunderstanding you.
No, no, that is not the case. You have understood me perfectly. I am surprised that you are so open about being in the same state as me. You always come off as someone who just has it together.
Elaborately crafted illusion. I very rarely have anything together. This is another secret I entrust you with.
Another secret which I will keep to the grave.
So what's your blog about? I would look in it myself, but my internet is being somewhat cranky.
Oh, that's all right. I am actually kind of glad that you can't see it. It's really not much. Embarrassing when compared with yours.
I don't believe that. A user as composed as you? Surely you've got some inspiring original content I could delight myself with.
It's a photojournaling blog in which I post pictures of my fashion projects and landscapes. To some extent, it is just a vault for my sister's photography, populated on occasion by my little pet couture projects.
Really? What kind of fashion? Are we talking runway ready New York fashion, arts and crafts model clothes, or designs more appealing to the public at large? Not that either would be disappointing, of course, but I'm curious.
The second one, high fashion, is to me a little disappointing of late, especially in the department of model diversity, which is why I do not often patronize its demonstrations. It is all well and good to design clothes, but they are not very useful to me or anyone else if nobody but a model can wear them, especially seeing as very few models look like me. My apologies. I have still not provided you with an actual answer to your question. I usually design dresses and skirts. I also dabble in commissions for cosplays. You would be surprised how many people would pay for someone who knows what they're doing to help out in the sewing department. Cons are often surprisingly rough on the handiwork of amateur seamstresses.
Please don't think you need to apologize for rambling. I do it often enough myself. Your commentary on high fashion is fascinating. I admit I don't really get into that area, nor does anyone in my social circle, so my awareness of its pitfalls is scant. Although I applaud your initiative in taking said problems into your hands. I really do wish I could get a look at your blog. I'd love to see some of your commissions.
Oh, well, some of them are not exactly child-friendly, which is to say, I am not scrupulous in choosing my clientele, and so some of the costumes I sew are a tad, uh, NSFW.
Well, now I absolutely have to take a look. Stand by.
Oh, no, please, please. Here, I will send you a photograph of what I regard as my best work. Jadecomplacency.jpg.
This is quite something.
Mm, Something good, I hope.
Obviously, Miss Auxiliatrix, it is good. The notion that anyone could cast their eyes upon this image and be confronted by anything but the most awestruck and deeply positive emotions is a ridiculous one. My cryptic response was generated by me attempting to discern the inspiration for such a dress. And given the particular patterns and colors employed in coalition of the image you sent, I am left with naught but to voice my thoughts and ask for confirmation or rejection. Is this perhaps a commission for someone looking to cosplay Calmassus?
It is in fact Calmassus, yes. Although it is for me, not for a commissioner. Have you read Complacency of the Learned?
Have I read it? Dear, it's only my favorite book, and a strong contender for the best piece of literature ever written. Calmas's journey from the reluctant hero to triumphant contender for good, despite losing none of the morally grey nature in the first place, the the sharp critique of stale thought chambers and intellectual elitism, the backdrop in a land of fantasy and foolishness to trick the easily satisfied bestseller-loving public into buying what was portrayal of societal flaws in their perpetrators, i.e., yes, I have most certainly read it.
Yes, yes. Exactly all of what you just said. That is what I think, only significantly less eloquent and more vague.
Well, it's good to know that you have refined tastes. I insist that we continue this conversation in depth at a later date. However, for now, it is about posting time. I have followers to update on my current situation. It was lovely talking to you, GA. As soon as my Wi-Fi is up and working, I'll be following your blog.
Oh, gosh.
Another time, GA. TT. Date: June 9th, 2016. Weather: humid. Mood: energized. News: I unearthed a set of my grandmother's tarot cards from the attic today. It is a lovely pack with personalized illustrations. There is an accompanying book of card interpretations written by my grandmother herself, although I admit I only skimmed it. Due to the personal nature of tarot, knowing what she thought the cards meant for her will not affect their meanings for me. I could write a longer post about tarot and the relationship between cards and the diviner, But I will not, presently. This is, after all, one of my private updates, and the aforementioned post would likely take far more time than I want to allocate in this brief news segment. Out of curiosity, I did a general reading earlier. Although readings are different for everyone, I elected to light a few of my lavender candles and set out some rose quartz. Of course, these adornments are not necessary accompaniments to good and accurate readings. They are merely things that I felt would help me focus on the cards and their meanings. It was a simple 3-card draw, nothing as complex as more experienced diviners might attempt. My results were thus: the Queen of Pentacles, a solitary figure, yet responsible and just despite her solitude. She who strives to aid others in lieu of her own achievement. Practical but lacking in ambition. The Knight of Cups, a romantic card representative of future engagement and pleasure, an indicator of harmony in pursuit of deep interpersonal connection. The Sun, optimism, future joy, a promise of new beginnings, a card of purity and satisfaction in one's life, enjoyment of what is present. I hope I have not become too esoteric in these readings. You need not interpret these cards as I do. I only thought to offer possible meanings in case they help some of you narrow down what this reading could mean for you in particular. I myself don't really know what these cards are supposed to mean for me and my future, but I can only hope that given that they are all positive cards, they will indicate something pleasant, perhaps a breakthrough in preparations for the grand ritual. Questions answered. In response to @Arsenic_Catnip's question about familiars, your selection of familiar is entirely up to you. Ultimately, there is no rule as to how one's familiar is selected. For example, my own, Jaspers, may he rest in peace, was found at a rescue shelter and was my pet for 3 years before I found he was any help to me in my summonings. Unfortunately, he died soon after I started this blog, so I never managed to document how he changed any of my practices. Actually, I would be interested to see your findings. If you do end up choosing a familiar, please drop a note in my inbox. In response to what is not a question, but is something I feel should be addressed nonetheless. If any of you want a really good laugh, @Caligula's Aquarium's call-out post for me made my day. I linked it at the bottom of the post. The fact that they likely believe everything written on it makes its existence even funnier. Personal news. Kanaya and Porum have started a garden in their backyard whose existence is dangerous for my health. Seeing as it is summer in New York, I completely get a resistance to wearing modest clothing. Logically, I know that their choice is not one motivated by desire to be alluring, but yesterday Kanaya walked outside in a tank top, and her arms, it should be noted, are very muscular. I regret to say I was unable to finish my meditations for at least half an hour after that. It is not her fault. It is entirely my own lack of discipline which forestalled the conclusions to my meditation. But put any teenage girl in the same position, any, I assure you, of bearing witness to the biceps of Kanaya Mariam, and she will display the exact same reaction. I defy anyone to act differently in my position. They are planting tiger lilies and a few rose bushes. There's also a stone fountain, which they set up just this morning. Porum lay on her back underneath it for hours, fixing the wiring. She had her lip piercing in. It was a steel ring. Today she would nibble it periodically when something about the configuration her. It was unreasonably interesting, and at one point I simply closed my curtains. It is unreasonable to expect anyone to charge their selenite in such conditions. Roxy invited Porum over for a sleepover next week. I adore my sister, but sometimes I truly despise her. How am I supposed to get any rest knowing that Porum Mariam is sleeping in the bedroom next to mine? Of course, my sister, because she is brilliant in her own ways, suggested a solution, that I invite Kanaya over, and make it a 2x sleepover combo bob. An odd expression, but a good idea nonetheless. My mother thought the idea was splendid. Apparently, she doesn't think I have enough friends or something. @TurnTech Godhead, I thought that might amuse you. So the two of them are coming over the day after next, which, as you might have just noticed, is one of my update days. Not to fear, I will allow the presence of an unreasonably beautiful girl in my bedroom. I will not allow the presence of an unreasonably beautiful girl in my bedroom. My word. You will receive a regular update on the 11th, or I give you my permission to flood my inbox with lovingly exasperated messages. As always, the inquiry box is open. Feel free to solicit advice on any and all supernatural feats that you have witnessed or seek to witness. Have a good evening, readers. Tentacle Therapist.
Oh, Rose.
Rose is pretty fucking gay.
Oh, that is a delightful fic to read.
Yeah.
Damn, these bitches gay. These bitches gay. Good for them.
Can't believe I
Reading
have
this fic is making me want to meditate with stones again.
I can't believe I have to keep permitting the variations of the phrase "damn these bitches gay" on Twitch. I know I have approved that phrase before.